Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Living to Do Married at First Sight review. Season 13, Episode 7, Home, Not Alone. The first couple that we're going to review and talk about is Rachel and Jose. First, we see them coming home from their honeymoon. They're on the airplane, and Jose's talking into the camera. He's very happy with Rachel. He says she's a spitting image of himself, and he says he would date himself. He should stop saying things like that. We see them getting to their couple joint apartment, and we see Rachel carrying or dragging in the luggage, most of the luggage, and Jose is a little empty-handed. He needs to take more initiative there. We see them talk about some of their routine, and Rachel tells Jose that she needs 4 alarms to wake up in the morning, starting at 4, and I guess they go off every 15 minutes. In the last one, she knows that alarm means that she really needs to get up, and it means business. Jose doesn't know how he's going to feel about that, and Rachel says he's going to have to suffer through it. They go and see Jose's real home. Rachel visits his house. It's a nice house. It's a roomy house. It's her possible new home. We'll see how she takes to that house, feeling more like his house and not their home. And the funniest thing happened when he's showing her his house. He takes her by the room that has his budget on the wall. And it was really weird. The way he showed it to her, introduced it to her, they were in the doorway of this little room, and he tells her to take a quick look at the board as he walks off, and I guess he's going to get a box. And the way he said it, it was so weird. It was like, he was showing her the conference room and, offering her a seat and asking her to take a look at the whiteboard to see the specs. It was just so, it was just, I don't know, it just didn't seem natural. It didn't seem like that's something you would do naturally. And Rachel looked at that board like a little scared or apprehensive, because that's basically what her life would look like on a whiteboard. Now, the funny thing was that Jose even had his 815 FICO score on the board. Oh, that is so anal. Just so anal. But I guess it takes all kinds of people in this world. But the funny thing is, after that, they show another shot of the board, and the 815 FICO score in red is gone. But it was there. It was there on the first a couple shots of it, and then they erased it, and they showed another shot of the whiteboard. That was strange. Jose and Rachel go to Rachel's home, where Jose is seeing her home for the first time. They walk through the doors, and the first thing he spots are 5 empty jugs on the floor, which equals hoarding to him. But overall, I thought her place was relatively nice. They do meet with Pastor Cal. Pastor Cal comes over. He speaks to Rachel and Jose, and Rachel says she's happily married, that she feels an immediate connection to him, to Jose. Pastor Cal says to Jose that he married up. Now, I didn't know if he was being jokey, like, because he's short and she looks to be like an inch or so higher or taller than Jose. But okay, I'll just let that go. I guess Jose just let that pass. I wonder if he gets a lot of those short jokes. They talk about their wants and their characteristics. Like, Jose's tight with money, but Rachel likes to travel, and Jose thinks it's not practical to do all this traveling. he's really tight with the money. He doesn't want to spend his money that way. He said, they could have trips and maybe they'll put it off for maybe like 2 years. And the look on Rachel's face, it looked like that is just going to be way, way too long. Pastor Cal says that Rachel can get him out of his comfort zone. That's what life is to experience new things, create experiences. And Rachel seems like that's what she wants to do with her life. It's not going to be so controlled, so living in a jar. You can't grow because you're just, you're saving money or a tightwad. She wants to live her life. She wants a life well lived. Pastor Cal asked if they consummated their marriage, and Rachel says that they have. They're, at first they made you believe that that hasn't happened yet, but yeah, they consummated, and I'm not surprised. And Pastor Cal says, well, don't put the brakes on it. Just put the brake pads, meaning condoms. So I hope that they're using them because I don't know how Jose would feel about a child so soon. Now, they did a funny shot of Jose in their bathroom together, and I guess they have their separate toothpaste. And you see Rachel's toothpaste is all squished up, and Jose's is nice and full. I just want to know, how many of you guys treat your toothpaste with such tender care, or do you squish it all in the middle? Comment down at the bottom. Okay, so the next couple that we will review is Brett and Ryan. We see them getting off the plane. They have landed. They've come home from their honeymoon, and Ryan says that he's less bruised after this flight. So apparently, maybe Brett was holding on to his arms really tight because she was scared of the flight. But Ryan says he feels fortunate to be married to Brett. I'm glad. It looks like they really do like each other. They're very playful. They show them throwing the pillows around in their bedroom and very playful. They seem like they like to be around one another. They both have dogs. Brett has a dog named Baxter, and Ryan has a dog named Macy. They have the dogs meet outside of Ryan's home just to sniff one another and just to get comfortable with each other before they go into the apartment joint living space area. And the dogs are cute. They look very much alike, other than Ryan's dog is a little dog, but it's like beige and white. And Ryan's dog is a big dog, same color. What a coincidence. The little dog looked like it was yapping at the big dog. They had a shot of the dog in Brett's car glaring at them outside, and it looked like that dog wanted to attack. They put some little scary music behind that little scene to show that little dog might be a terror. But they go and we see Brett visit Ryan's home. Ryan, I loved his home the best out of all the couples. I liked the color scheme, which was brown. Brett didn't really care for it, but I thought he had the nicest home out of all the couples. Though what I didn't like is when they went into Ryan's bedroom, he has this big animal. I don't know what kind of animal it is, with antlers on the wall that he's killed, and he's mounted that on his bedroom wall. And Brett wasn't a fan of that, and either am I. I do not want to be waking up and look at a dead animal in my room every day. And he seems like Ryan seems like he wouldn't have a problem of taking that down and putting that in another area of the house. Yeah, in the garage or a bait and tackle shop. But that's the kind of things that Ryan likes. He's country like that. So they have a meeting with Pastor Cal. Pastor Cal comes over, and one of the first things he says when he sees them is that they look good together. And I agree. I think they do look good together. They look like they are a couple. They kind of match each other, like you would find them as a couple without being matched in real life. Ryan says that Brett is the coolest person. Um, Brett says that Ryan has a dry sense of humor, but she seems to like it. Ryan says they're like third graders flirting. Brett likes that she's relaxed around Ryan. She doesn't have to be in charge. She trusts him. And he just seems like a man's man like that. And I think that's what girly girls, and she is. She acts like a girly girl. And I think she plays on it sometimes. I don't think she's as so fragile as she comes off. But I think she likes having that man, that male energy around her. They do show affection. They always seem to be touching, and I really think that Ryan does like her. At first, he seemed a little cold and dead behind the eyes, but he seems to really like her. Pastor Cal asked them if they consummated their marriage. They had not consummated their marriage at that point, though they're comfortable with the progression of their relationship. And they asked, Pastor Cal asked about their level of intimacy, if they were comfortable with that. And Brett was, and Ryan says he likes Brett, so I guess he's okay with it. I'm sure he wants more. Brett says she has a crush on Ryan, and she was blushing, and she also, realized, or she knew that she had not really expressed how she felt about Ryan. They never really talked about that. But he likes her too. Ryan, which was cute, he says he sees them getting past the liking. And when Pastor Cal asked what he meant by that, Brett answered. She said that he can see past liking into love. And I just think they're kind of on the same path. They're going slow. I think they probably need to open up a little bit more about how they feel about one another. But I like that they had that moment and they somewhat expressed their feelings for one another. A little kind of like teenagers way of doing it, saying that, she has a crush and he can see past the liking. It's cute. And I see what he means. It is like being third graders and flirting with one another. I like you, you like me type of thing. Pastor Cal asked if they've ever been in love. Ryan says he thinks he has, and he asks what is love, and he says that you value the other person more than you value yourself. And Ryan admitted that he doesn't feel that way about Brett just yet, but I think that it's understandable. You've known each other, I think, 9 days. So maybe you're not really to give up your life for somebody else, but they're still touchy-feely. There always seems to be touching each other, holding hands. So far, so good. I'm actually rooting for them. I like the progression of their relationship. So I like them more this week. Okay, so let's talk about Gil and Mirla. Gil and Mirla, they go to their couple's apartment, and Gil carries Mirla over the threshold. And I guess he already did that at the honeymoon, but he's doing it again in their new apartment. Mirla thinks it's corny, and I agree with her. Once is enough, but she does agree it's a sweet gesture. Gil says he'll do that in each new place that they live. Gil is more of a romantic type. I think a lot of girls nowadays are just not into that so much, but it's very sweet, and I hope he doesn't change. Even after Mirla, I hope he continues to be the same person. So the couples, they go and they look, Mirla and Gil, they go look at their new couple's apartment, and Mirla likes it. And she should, because after which they go over to her house and we see her house. And the apartment is nicer than her house. In fact, when we see most of the couple's apartments, individual apartments, they're nicer than Mirla's apartment. All that talking can't back it up. She has, it's her house, or her apartment is tiny. She It has looks like a king size bed and a small cramped apartment. It's just basic. There's no her bedroom. There's such gawky, heavy furniture in there. There's no place to move around. It looks like a little New York City apartment. And I mean, you live in Houston, Texas. You get a lot of real estate for a little bit of money. She should not shop as much and pay all that money for those clothes and maybe get a bigger place to put her junk. They go in her closet. They see that she has a lot of shoes, a lot of stuff, all the Chanel bags, all the designer boxes facing forward so we all can see what she has. She spends like $600 to $1,000 on shoes. She does that a couple times a year. She has insurance on her closet, 10 to 15,000, I believe. She said 10 to 15, so I believe she said 1,000. I mean, her place was so it was the bunch of crosses on the wall. I'm not against that, but I just didn't like her place. And for a person who talked all that talk and down everything else, I mean, she should have really enjoyed her stay out there in the Florida Keys because they put her up in a place that was nicer than her house. You know, the assisted living place looked better than her place, but she was doing all that talking. So they go and they visit Gil's house. Complaint right when she walks in the door. She sees water in the floor. I'm sure the dog hopefully just spilled water and didn't pee on the floor. He introduces her. Ryan, what's his name? Gil introduces Mirla to his dog. Hype is his name. Gil's house is bigger and nicer than Mirla's. Gil wants her to say hi to the dog, and he's like kind of playing with the dog. It looks like he's kissing the dog. He says he's not, that the dog's kissing him. And Mirla says that's going to be pushing back any kisses that she gives him because his mouth was too close to the dog. At one point, we see Mirla get a notification on her phone. It looks like she got a notification about some new arrivals, things to shop for, clothes, shoes, something like that. Gil says, oh, God. It's just way too much for Gil, for someone who's so, has to have so many material things, that those material things mean so much more to her than it seems like maybe human relationships. But okay, whatever. When they talk to Mirla during her confessionals, they asked her what was the dog's name, and she had to think about it. She couldn't even remember. She's like, and she finally got it, saying it was Hype, but she has absolutely no interest in the dog, and she's not going to even retain the dog's name. Pastor Cal comes and visits Mirla and Gil, and Mirla introduces the dog Hype to Pastor Cal, and she says, yeah, this is Hype, the dog that I didn't want, and you didn't listen to me. Oh, I don't know if it's that shady, rude. I don't know, Mirla. You're just not. You're my least favorite person on the show. Pastor Cal says that he believes that Gil and Mirla were matched up because they would be a great pair. I just don't see it. So they talk about, Gil talks to Pastor Cal about all the various things that Mirla has, all her clothes, that she has like $70,000 worth of merchandise and clothes and about 10 red bottoms. Gil thinks it's way too much. He's asked for her to shop less. She said no. Pastor Cal wants to talk about their intimacy, and Gil says, oh, well, they're touching and cuddling, and that's the highlight that he gets. It's like a low budget. It's the climax, but it's a low budget film. Even off camera, he says that she's cold. She's acts the same way. She's not very affectionate, not as much as he would like anyway. Pastor Cal asked about their sexual chemistry, and And if they want to have sex, Gil definitely does. And if he would have to guess, he would think Mirla does. And Pastor Cal's like, you shouldn't have to guess. You're what, at least 9 days into this? Not that you have to have sex after 9 days, but she herself says she doesn't kiss anybody unless after her third date with the individual. Well, this is 9 days with this man. She hasn't even given him a peck on the lips, though they do sleep in the same bed. Mirla says that eventually she does want to, she needs to get to know him better. Gil says he can go 6 to 8 weeks without having sex with her. That's not the problem. But if he doesn't get a kiss from her, that by the time they get to decision day and he doesn't get a kiss, he's going to ask for a divorce. And I have to agree with Gil. He looked sad there. And I felt sorry for him. Actually, he reminded me of Paul Mooney at that very end when his head tilted talking to Pastor Cal. And no one could blame you. If this woman is not willing to show you a little bit of affection after 8 weeks, I think it would be smart for him to go. And I'm glad he's telling her in front of Pastor Cal. I really don't think it's too much to ask. And so hopefully we might see her give him a kiss later on. At least she knows clearly where he stands, and he shouldn't budge from that decision. If she doesn't show any affection to you, Gil, please go. She can kiss your cheek and you can walk away. Your butt cheek. We finally get to talk about Zach and Michaela. It's 9 days we show Zach going to meet up with Michaela, 9 days of marriage. Now, which is weird because he had COVID, and I thought you needed to quarantine like 10 to 14 days. But after 9 days, he's going to meet up with her. I guess he tested negative now. He goes, they're hugging each other. They can't stop hugging each other. They're so excited to see one another. He's looking around her house. She already had a picture of them together in a frame on her shelf. She showed him an anniversary gift, a 1 week anniversary gift, which was very, very sweet. They chat a little bit. We learned that Michaela, too, has a dog walker. Oh, these people need to get maybe a yard so they don't need a dog walker. They talk about how they would handle an argument. Michaela says that she would not storm off because that is emotional abuse behavior. But later we see that they're in their apartment together, and it's 7 a.m. and Zach leaves their apartment, their shared apartment. 1 hour later, Michaela wakes up and she doesn't see Zach. She doesn't know where he is. She's looking around the rooms. Looks like she's getting fed up, and she slams some items on the table, and she packs up her things and she leaves. She looked very angry. We later learned that she did text him, but she was so much that upset, showed that type of emotion because she didn't hear back from him. Later, we see them together. They're together, and they talk about what happened. Zach explains that he fell asleep in another room with the dog. I don't know why you need to put a dog to sleep, but maybe because it was a new place and the dog was agitated, and he just fell asleep until the next morning, and then he left to do something. I think take the dog to the groomer or wherever he needed to take her. Michaela was very upset about it because they didn't communicate that. She texted him and no text back. And what I don't understand, why didn't you just text her back? What was holding you out there that you were unable to text her back? And so Zach was wondering, that's the reason why she was acting that way. And he thought her behavior was a red flag. And it was, I mean, because there was no communication, you can form all kinds of things in your head thinking you know what the situation is, and you could be way off base. And I think he could alleviate all of that by texting. Though, however, her behavior didn't, it didn't, she shouldn't be acting like that. The situation didn't warrant her behavior to be displayed that way. Zach said he got back at 9 o'clock, but Michaela says that he was a goddamn lie. And Zach just doesn't, that you're just such a new relationship, but you get a rocky start. This is their first fight. And he said he was done with the conversation, and she's like, no resolve. And then the doorbell rings. It's Pastor Cal. So Zach was saved by the bell. So Pastor Cal sits down with them, and he notices that they're sitting apart. And Zach tells that Pastor Cal that they had their first argument. And Zach says that, that it was an argument, but it doesn't change how he feels about Michaela. Michaela, hearing this, she squints her eyes, and that is an unfamiliar act that he's seeing with Michaela. He's never seen her act like that, and it means that he's lying, is how he interprets it, and anybody would. And he says he's not lying, and she says that she has her guard up, and they ask her why is your guard up, and she says it makes her nervous, and I can understand. She says that her father died and she has to take care of herself, and he was her caregiver, and he died, and I guess she feels abandoned, lost, and alone. And that's how Zach made her feel when she woke up and he wasn't there. And then when she reached out to him, he didn't respond. And honestly, that can be scary, especially, and her father was killed by a drunk driver. He goes out in the world and he never comes back, and I think maybe he does need to be more mindful of her and her situation, that she feels lost. That's triggering her to feel a certain type of ways, bringing her back to the moment where she lost her father. And I'm sure that was very painful for her. However, she does need to check her behavior. Just because you're hurt, you just cannot, slam things on the table, just be irate about a situation. I think her emotions really did get the best of her. Michaela says that, she needs to feel that security. They do show them, shows Zach trying to get close to her, but she kind of recoils, is what Pastor Cal said, and that means to him that she doesn't want to be touched when she shrugs away from you. And I also think that Zach is hurt. He sees that, he knows what that means, and he doesn't want to offend. He backs away. Pastor Cal encourages him to go closer to her, and he says she doesn't want you to go away. And she admits, no, she doesn't want him to go away. She does want to feel that security. And he does grab her and he holds her, and she cries a little bit in his arms. And that's what she needs. She needs that feeling of safety, knowing that he will be there for her. They're just two hurt souls. I mean, so many people are hurt. And I think he's hurt. He's explained in his past how people didn't like him. It made him feel a certain type of way. I'm sure he's built up all this insecurities in himself, and when she backs away from him, he feels not wanted, and that probably triggers him. I thought they really had a great therapy session with Pastor Cal. It was good to see. I hope that they can grow from this, maybe not together, but if they have to grow separately, that it was just something to see, and maybe they can play it back and even learn from it, what they might need to do to correct their behaviors, especially Michaela. Okay, our last couple is Bao and Johnny. We see them on the plane coming back home from their honeymoon, and Johnny does us a solid by getting audio of Bao snoring. I asked for it, I got it, and I loved it. And it is pretty loud for a little tiny thing like her. But I so enjoyed it. I wonder how she's going to feel that she was recorded and it was sent out to everybody on TV. They know exactly how she snores, and she has always been so self-conscious and insecure about that. I wonder what she says about us all knowing what it really sounds like. Next, we see them going to their shared apartment, and Bao gives the apartment, a little home inspection. She complains that she doesn't like the electric stove. There's no vent above the stove. There's no ice maker. She's sounding a little like Mirla. But, it's really a nice place. They have a conversation they show us, and the conversation is about showers again. And Johnny, he asks Bao to please shower before bed. And Bao she's insisting on not showering. It's just, so inconsiderate. If someone should ask you to shower, you should compromise. It's not that big a deal. The water is not going to hurt you. Next, we see them sitting down to dinner with one another, and Johnny has mixed emotions. He announces that he is going to leave and go home after dinner. I think that him leaving the apartment is screaming, "No shower, no deal." But so Johnny goes on home to reset and not to become nose blind to her funk. Just kidding. He videotapes himself in bed on a little confessional, talking about marriage, and marriage is not easy. And he says, "What the hell?" And to me, he's thinking about that shower, that the fact that she wouldn't take a shower before getting into bed. Maybe that's why he left. He wanted to get into bed and not be around a funky person, but we never really knew exactly why he left, but the editing made it seem like it was due to the fact that she would not shower. Later, we show them in the bathroom brushing their teeth, which was funny because Johnny he explains that he cleans his tongue and the roof of his mouth. And then Bao says, "I do too." And Johnny looked at her and he's like, "Yeah." Oh my goodness. The next day we see, I believe they go to Bao's house first, and Johnny likes that she has multiple items of clothes in the same style, just like he does. That's a very interesting coincidence that both of them buy multiple clothes of the same kind. Johnny also notices that Bao has a bidet in her bathroom, which is a good thing. At least she goes a little extra mile to clean her butt, but that's good. That's, I guess, maybe somewhat of a compromise, having just a clean ass when she goes to bed. They go to Johnny's house, and Johnny's house is pretty bare. It's a nice, roomy place, but it does need a woman's touch, Bao says. Needs some pictures on the wall. It's just white walls. Some things laying up against the wall. And we learn that Johnny, too, has a bidet. They both have a bidet. Well, that's great. They have something else in common. Bidets are becoming more and more common in, you don't have to spend a lot of money to have one in your home. Johnny says that he only has one. He doesn't want to share his bidet. Okay, I gotcha. Pastor Kyle meets with them, which was a good meeting. Bao talks about her being vulnerable and him making fun of her snoring, some things that she's insecure about. She says that I guess she doesn't feel attractive because she tries to initiate sex and he doesn't seem like he's interested, which is kind of weird because he seemed like he was always interested in wanting to initiate it, and she kind of laughed it off. In fact, that was the problem, her laughing it off. Johnny has something to say to Bao during their meeting with Pastor Cal, and he is struggling. You see this poor guy struggling to tell her what is annoying him about her. And he finally says it's that when she's happy, she acts like a little kid, and that's a turnoff to her. She acts kitty. He doesn't like that when he goes in for the kiss. They played it back how she giggles and laughs, and that's not attractive to him. He wants a hot woman, somebody with a little bit more passion. You can't feel passion, I guess, when you think you're kissing a child. It's just it doesn't sit right with him. And poor Bao, she is hurt that he feels that way, and then she feels that he is disgusted by the way she expresses her joy, which is sad. Boy, that's sad. And Bao or Johnny wants to break and run, and Pastor Cal says, "Don't break and run." She should be able to be herself. And this is how Bao says she expresses her joy in her private quarters and her private emotions with people she's close with. And that is so sad that, he feels that way. And if you feel that way, you feel that way. But Pastor Cal says that's not Bao's problem. That's Johnny's problem. And that made me look at myself because there's a lot of things that people do that annoy me, just little things. And I'm thinking now I have to turn that on myself. I'm the one that has the problem, and I just don't even know how to deal with that myself. But at the end of their conversation, they show them holding hands. At least that's the way it was edited. So I hope they left that meeting with Pastor Cal on a good note. Well, that was all the couples. I thought it was a good episode. I really liked it. It was more what I like to see. I like to see more behaviors affecting relationship, and that's what I wanted this show to always be for us. Not the shenanigans and not the overproduced stuff. Let's get into some therapy. That's what they needed, and I liked how they talk things out. They stuck with it. In fact, I like that the participants were open to do that and open up their emotions. I think I learned a lot, and I hope we see more like this in the coming episodes. So I want to just thank you for listening. I would like to ask that you please subscribe and like and maybe possibly share this video to help this channel grow. So thank you so much. I'll be back next week for another review. But now I got to get going because I got living to do. Thank you.